Good Saturday morning. Not sure what morning it is. The days are starting to run together here. Good Saturday morning. Beautiful sunrise this morning. Cup of coffee. Wall Street Journal. I wanted to knock out a quick video. We had a great live trade brief yesterday at 10 a.m. with the Afterburner trading group. Talked about swing trading and how to trade or potentially trade this volatile market. So I wanted to give you my thoughts on everything that happened yesterday, kind of a summary of the week, and then where we're going. First of all, the whole stimulus package. Only in America would the government take 25 to 40% of what you make and give 2% back to you and call it stimulus. Right? That's stimulus. Thank you for giving me some of my money back. The government doesn't own money, folks. It's a referee of money. So it cracks me up. They're kind of like a benevolent dictator when they kind of give you what is yours back anyway. But so $2 trillion, folks, which is actually, that's wrong. It's $4.2 trillion if you throw in what the Fed, all the extra bazookas or howitzers or nuclear weapons that the Federal Reserve is getting to use. I have a question. If we're going to be bankrupt, if we're $4.2 trillion more in debt, why not 8? Why not 12? Why not 100 trillion in debt? If at this point it doesn't matter. If we're broke, we're broke. Right? And to this day, man, every time I watch the president speak, I'm waiting for him to stop kissing Xi Jinping's ass and say the $1.3 trillion that Xi owns of U.S. debt is gone. Xi, it's zero, and here's an invoice for another $1 trillion that you owe us. I don't get it. So yesterday he dropped the word China. He's like this global, it was China for a week, the Chinese virus. Now it's the global virus. And at the beginning, it obviously wasn't anything. So I'm not digging the politics of this. I talked the other day about how I was shocked that I must have misread just about every press conference this guy has, because it sounded like he was talking to Xi all the time, joined at the hip. They hadn't talked in a month. So the first time they talked in a month, folks, a month, was Thursday night, I believe it was. So a little scary to me. I want to talk about GM and the Defense Production Act. So, what is it, Wednesday night, Thursday night? Again, the days are running together. The president's on Hannity. I don't know, Cuomo, he doesn't need that many ventilators, all sorts of stuff. And the next morning, yesterday morning, you wake up to the president with 7 exclamation points after each sentence. GM has to produce ventilators now. Ford now. Mary Barra, the CEO of GM's a nightmare. Blah. I mean, full megaphone blast on Twitter. The guy looks completely unhinged when he does that. The night before, we don't need that many, and the next morning he's like freaking out at GM. And then he hasn't wanted to do this. He invoked the DPA, the Defense Production Act. It's kind of from the Korean era that says Uncle Sammy can jump into your business and say, we're taking those. Apparently somebody, I know, a couple of steps removed from the negotiations. I mean, the Gordon Gekko in me says, good on GM. They're trying to get a fair price for these. And the lieutenant in me says, pieces of shit, corporate, America. So there's a fine line between there, and then Trump, at the end of the day, got pushed kind of kicking and screaming to invoking the DPA. Really interesting dynamic in this country right now. Liberals, Democrats, who are usually big government and the feds will take care of us, are now, look at Gavin Newsom and Andrew Cuomo in New York. These are now liberal Democrats in control of states where they're taking charge and moving out. Holy states' rights bats, man. And a lot of people are finding out in California, all the anti-gun people that are now going to gun stores, there's a 10-day waiting period. What about this Second Amendment? I have to wait 10 days to potentially defend myself? Welcome to the party, pal. So the politics in this country are getting a little discombobulated. And just reading the Wall Street Journal, great op-ed today about the president, and he needs to cut Cuomo a little slack with the ventilators. If you're going to say, hey, Govs, you got this, take charge and move out, then don't question him. If Andrew Cuomo said he needs 100 million ventilators, give it to him. We kind of look small quibbling about the number of ventilators needed. When the president says he doesn't need that many, either he's the single point of accountability for the state of New York, or you are. So lead, follower, get out of the way. He'd look a little bit more gracious if he said, Andrew, Anthony, whatever that guy's name is, you're getting whatever you need. And he kind of went to that yesterday, but again, the president's like the stock market, and sometimes it's a little disconcerting. Had a couple people post on my Facebook page that Neil Ferguson, this guy at the Imperial College of London, a couple weeks ago came out with that startling 2.2 million Americans will die, and 570,000 folks in Great Britain are going to die from this thing. And then the other day he walked it back and said, about 20K, and people kept throwing this, aha, you didn't read it. Folks have to stop reading headlines and read everything. I don't know how many times I've seen a headline and I'm like, well, okay, I got the headline, and then read it and I'm like, well, that wasn't even close. So when Neil Ferguson is, now I respect the guy even more, because when he came out with that 2.2 million in America or 570 in the UK, he said that's unlikely because those numbers are based on if we didn't do anything right now. What did Boris Johnson do, who's now infected with coronavirus? He said, holy crap, we're locking down Great Britain. So the man so when he came out today and revised his numbers down, he said, that's what we needed to do, so not that many deaths are going to happen. So when people roll in on scientists, and the Wall Street Journal said it better than I am going to right now, he's like, throttle back with the, aha, you were wrong shit. I said this 2 months ago, and it was very cool to hear Dr. Fauci say it about a month ago. He said, hey, when it comes to a potential global pandemic that doesn't have a cure right now, a little overreaction is probably better than a little underreaction. It makes no sense to me how people underreact about a biological weapon that escaped from a lab. It's just, it's insane. Okay, so market action this week. We are still 20% off the highs. Here's the bottom line up front. We got another 10 to 20% to go down. Folks, markets overshoot down, they overshoot up. And then they end up somewhere, reverting back to the mean. Everybody I've talked to, hedge fund managers, portfolio managers that are in their cars leaving New York, crazy shit going on, man. Crazy shit going on. People fleeing COVID hotspots to other parts of the country, creating other COVID hotspots. It's turning into Hunger Games. But everybody I talk to says we have to retest those lows of a couple weeks ago. There's no footing right now in the market, and that's not good. And the selling has still been, I'm going to say, orderly. It hasn't been panic selling yet. When do I think that's going to happen? Next week's going to be very, very interesting in the market. I can't believe the other day, the Cheesecake Factory. Love the Cheesecake Factory. Keely and I get the lemon chicken there. Fantastic, huge. Nobody does lemon chicken better than me, believe me. They came out the other day and said, yeah, we're not paying rent in any of our places and going forward anymore. Dude, did you not have at least a month's worth of savings somewhere, Cheesecake Factory? So whenever you hear the term landlord, I know in the past it sometimes has a negative connotation, like, you must pay the rent. I can't pay the rent. That whole thing. Hey man, landlords are dudes, ladies, companies on the other side of that. So, and I saw another stat the other day. So Cheesecake says we're not paying our rent. 47,000 small businesses have already, in this country, have already said we're not paying our rent either. Folks, that's going to cause a cascade of implosions. Mortgage companies, walking around the neighborhood here on the other side of the street and eavesdropping, people like, even if they can pay their mortgage, they're like, why am I going to pay my mortgage on the first of the month if nobody else is? Do you know what that's going to cause to the banking system? These mortgage companies, all these small businesses that haven't had any business, just saying we're not going to pay. Folks, landlords are people too. I got a buddy that owns a bunch of rental. That's all his only income is the rental properties. So when he gets zero on April 1st, the people holding his loan are going to get zero, and now it's a cascade. So stand by. So April 1st is going to be a very interesting day in this country. Additionally, April, whatever next Friday is when NFP comes out, non-farm payroll. So if you think the weekly unemployment claims on Thursday were bad, a couple million people, completely off. Several states' unemployment websites were down for a couple days. They couldn't even, people couldn't even claim it. So next Friday, when we get the jobs report and average hourly earnings, it'll be a number. I'm not even going to guess. And a lot of my buddies on the street last week said there was a lot of whisper numbers about the Thursday number, like 4-5 million. And when it came out at 2, yay. So last week was trading, folks. That was not the bottom. I'm telling you that was not the bottom. I'm telling you that April 1st is going to be bad. All these businesses just here in Boca Raton that aren't going to pay their rent on April 1st, what's going to happen to the people who were expecting that rent? You think they're just made of money? My God, if the Cheesecake Factory can't even afford a month of extra month of rent, or not even extra, they're in the place. The one in Boca Raton's, you can get takeout. So it's insane to me. All right, now debrief. Had a bad trade last week. If you ever listen to anybody who's in investing and they've never had a losing trade or always make money, run as fast as you can from them because they're a liar. So last week, I've flown a Boeing product for 15 years in the Navy. I flew Boeing products at American and at FedEx. Buddies in the company, pretty heavy. Flip of a coin, man. We were either going to go Chapter 11 or get rescued. The way I went last week, I got bearish on Boeing and I was wrong. Had a losing trade last week on Boeing and the thing just exploded. So you ready for this? Yeah, I'm not the Oracle of Boca. Speaking of the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, I talked about this last week. Have you seen him? Guys like Warren Buffett, in times of market crisis like these, end up doing what? Just kind of quietly going in and acquiring stuff. Even if we're not at the bottom yet, like I'm predicting, we're going to pass where we are right now on the way back up. Again, being happy and bullish, I think our bounce up is going to surpass where we went off the cliff. Trust me, I am all in. Once we get the all clear signal, I have 5 now all clear signals or buy signals that I've given out to my members. But I think next week, even if we have another leg down, which I believe is going to happen, and retest these lows, I think Boeing, I don't know if it's ever going to look back. It's a national security company, and I'm getting bullish. So got bullish recently on Amazon, got bullish recently, or will get bullish, excuse me, next week on Boeing. Okay, so bad trade on me last week out of Boeing, but hey man, those happen. After, I didn't even do the math the other day, 98% win rate. I've never, ever had that type of win rate. So, if you want to focus on the 2 losing trades, knock yourself out. You take full responsibility for crappy trades because we learn from them. I think the lesson learned from that one is when it comes to a coin flip, a potential coin flip in a trade, don't do it. Because that literally was going to be a coin flip. Dude, our corporate attorneys are planning on Chapter 11. I'm like, okay. Or the president and the biggest winner in that stimulus package is Boeing. So I should have recognized that. My fault, my mistake, and I'll take the hit on that one. But doing pretty damn good. So net, I think the government response is still not what it should be. I'm starting to see state troopers in Connecticut and Rhode Island turning back cars with New York license plates. Starting to hear that in Florida as well. I can't believe that we didn't. I'll end on a high note eventually, another minute or so, folks, but we still, you don't get what they've done in Italy and in China. Before they got taken down off the internet, the videos of what was going on in China was insane. It was medieval. And we're not doing that here. China's not out of it yet either, folks. They're lying about their numbers, and there's a second wave that has come back and hit China. They ain't out of this, folks, and they're not back to work. Do not believe anybody who tells you that. But again, folks, this is a virus. We're going to get through it. It's probably going to be a couple months, man. Better be before June 24th because that's when Maverick comes out. And I'm gonna put on my old helmet and my oxygen mask from the fleet and go see Maverick. So that's our date in the sand. We got to be out of the thing by June 24th. Okay, stay happy. Like I said, go inside if you can't go outside. Meditate. Grab some yoga lessons on TV. Get your mind right. Use this time to get your mind right. Power of now, the 4 agreements, and learn how to trade options. Make yourself a better person because of this, okay? Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. And God bless. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll see you.